Hello, everybody. My name is David Snipes. Thank you for joining me from 7poundbag.com. I'm sorry I haven't been around much. I do appreciate those of you that are still watching here. I have got a new microphone, so hopefully this is a lot better. It's taken me a little bit to get around to it here. Hopefully one of these days I'll give me a video and we'll be a little better for it here. I'm wanting to start something new this season. As those of you that are on the website quite often at 7poundbag.com, we do picks every week. These last 2 weeks I have not been doing it just because with my new work schedule I just haven't had a chance to sit here and mess around and get it done. I do apologize to my fellow pickers. They've been hollering and screaming at me, but we are picking this up at week 3. And what I think I'm going to do is not only am I going to get my picks on the website, I'm also going to come in here and try to give you my selections every Wednesday. That way you can, those of you that are on the West Coast can head out to Vegas. Those of you on the East Coast can head out to your local bookie down the street and get your bets put in. Remember, I would appreciate 10% if you don't mind, and if you lose, well, you can keep my 10%. But that's all right. I'm going to do things a little bit different on this, so I can kind of make this thing a little easier for editing instead of having to throw in 150 slides like I usually do. I'm basically going to go go game by game. So if I go quiet for a bit, I'm just kind of doing it for timing purposes. If you don't care about a certain game, I'm going to kind of throw it up there. You can just kind of toggle your way through to actually get to the game itself. Enjoy. We'll see what happens. Again, it is always a work in progress. Hopefully you can hear me a little bit better. My nice little velvet tones, I guess you could say. Our NFL Roundtable is going to come out every Friday as normal. When I get to a certain game, I am going to give you a little bonus and answer that question here. If you have any NFL questions, by all means post them below or send them to the website or send them to Joe, who does the website every single Friday, as well as the MLB. If you're interested in talking about NCAA basketball, Steve is actually going to get that cranking. So if you'd like to join us on one of these roundtables, by all means, let me know. Same thing for NFL Roundtable. If you think you've got a good take or a good knowledge base, by all means, let me know. We're always looking for people that want to write, that want to express their feelings. I do have kind of a sad news to report. The Wrestling Roundtable is going to be ended. Unfortunately, Steve has kind of lost his smile, which is sad to say the least. But again, he's had a monster run with it. Unless somebody wants to pick it up, apparently he's going to end that roundtable, which is awful. But again, it's he just doesn't watch the product anymore, and he's kind of tired of it, which I completely understand. Unfortunately, I don't watch the product either. I could probably read out to you every single pay-per-view that's pretty much ever happened right up until basically Invasion. After that, I just kind of stopped caring. I mean, it's kind of depressing. Maybe one day I'll talk about it. Who knows? But unfortunately, Steve has also lost his smile, which is kind of sad. But again, we'll see what's happening. So here we are. By all means, hit the website. Follow me on all the things. You got any questions you'd like me to answer here individually, I'll be more than welcome to do it. Come back every Wednesday. We'll get talking about it. Our first game, which I will hit at exactly 4 minutes. So insert pause here. The dead air is going to kill me. All right, our first game we're going to talk about is the New York Jets at 1-1 versus Cleveland at 0-1-1. I did see Cleveland because, again, the wife is a Monster Saints fan, so I did get to see the Browns play. The Browns have a ton of talent. It's kind of unreal just how much talent they've got at certain positions. Again, they are weak at certain positions, namely kicker, which is why they had to go get a new one. How do I feel about Sam Darnold so far, which is on the NFL Roundtable? I kind of talk about that a little bit in that. But I do feel Sam Darnold so far is the real thing. So far, I think he's an NFL quarterback. So far, I think he's really good. The question comes, didn't we think the same thing about Matt Sanchez? I mean, really. Yeah, he's impressive. Yeah, he's doing well. Yeah, he's filling the league with hope. Didn't Matt Sanchez do the same thing? I kind of need a couple years before I'm really ready to nominate somebody as this is our savior. Unfortunately, being a Panthers fan, I've been through this too much. I've been through having a good quarterback. I've been through having, the first round pick come in to be a savior. I mean, I don't think anybody really felt Achilles Smith was going to be the savior, but again, he's solid. The Jets as a whole have hope. I do think them coming in together at this game matchup on a Thursday, is going to be highly interesting. I do think the Browns get their win here. I think they just have too much talent. I just think they're too close. And I will be honest with you, if I was a medium to high profile coach or coordinator in the NFL or NCAA, at the end of the season when Hugh Jackson gets fired, I would be all over that job. Tyrod Taylor looks like he could be a serviceable NFL quarterback. Baker Mayfield, I seriously get the feeling if he was playing, there's a chance they may have won one if not both games, and that defense could be really something special. I just get the feeling if I was a good offensive mind, I would jump all over Cleveland. The loss of Josh Gordon's probably going to hurt somewhat, not really as much as I would think. I have to think you could find decent receivers anywhere in the NFL, and how Cleveland just can't find them. How Carolina just can't find them just drives me up the wall. But I am taking Cleveland to pick up their first win and to be that amazing 1-1-1. Again, not a knock on the Jets, but I just think Cleveland's due. I think they've come too close, and I think they're going to kind of solidify themselves. I still think Hugh Jackson's a crappy coach, but I think it gets him past the Jets. Game 2, Denver at Baltimore. Man, this could be really interesting. Denver's defense is still really, really good. Baltimore's defense, maybe it's better than we thought. But so far, Joe Flacco's playing with somebody. He's basically playing for his job. He knows if he gets too stupid, he's done. And I really feel that if Baltimore cut him tomorrow, there's not going to be more than the same 5 teams that are always looking for quarterbacks that are really wanting to pick him up. I think he's got a fire lit under him finally. I still think Lamar Jackson's going to be a better quarterback later on this season. But as of right now, Joe Flacco is kind of riding a hot hand. Denver's quarterback, better. But, again, I think these are 2 teams that are trying to figure out where they are. A lot of it under center, a lot of it in that coaching staff. I'm going to give the edge to Denver. Not for really not really a strong effort either way, to be quite honest with you. I still don't know if any of these teams are really going to be a threat going forward. I mean, Denver has been down in both of their games. They've had to use a quarterback to kind of lead them back from behind from victory, which, I mean, it's good to have a quarterback that you actually have faith in there, but I do kind of wonder if it's more, I don't know if he's a rally the troop type quarterbacks. There's certain quarterbacks when you're down 5 at your own 20, they can rally the troops and make sure something's going to happen. And I just don't know if Case Keenum's that guy yet. I really don't know. And I don't know if he's that guy in the locker room. This early in the season, I kind of wonder if maybe a lot of it's just that glow from the Broncos saying, we finally got somebody back here that doesn't suck. Game 3. Well, hang on. Let me check my timer real quick. Yeah. I'll give you another 30 seconds or so. Trying to make this easier for editing type so I can just say block minute, block minute, block minute. Hey, it's a work in progress. Maybe I'll script this thing out a little bit better next time. I appreciate your patience. Anybody wants to add time, we can insert this here. I don't know. Baltimore's still a highly interesting team, and I feel like they've just blown too many shots here lately. Welcome to live TV, everybody. Week 3, Buffalo at Minnesota. I did see the end of the Minnesota-Green Bay game, and man, you talk about a team that got a tie well, to tell you the truth, they kind of deserved to win and they kind of deserved to lose. They did a great job keeping Aaron Rodgers off the field. Their defense looked really well. Their offense didn't look too bad. Dalvin Cook, he's one of these guys that should be good for like 60 yards every week, in and week out. And when you watch him play, when you watch their offense, you wonder why he's not getting 100 yards every game. I just kind of wonder why. And you run into this a lot. He's so talented. He's so good. I watched him in college, and you wonder why he's not doing more. But then you watch the game, and you're like, oh, that's why he's not doing more. Where he should have a 4-yard push from his offensive line, he's only getting 1. He's having to break a tackle behind the yard of scrimmage to get the 2 yards that he's got on that run. He gets a shoestring tackle when he should be able to jump over it and run free for another 10 yards. You know, the ball's underthrown, so he's got to slow down. It's just a whole lot of ifs, ands with him. Some of it's scheme, some of it's Minnesota, some of it's him. But, you know, it's kind of like, you know, write him down for 60 yards every game. But, again, I do think Minnesota is not really losing a step. I just kind of feel they need to be – they're not quite on track yet. It's kind of like they're winning based on talent, which you can do in college quite often. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I think I could coach Alabama to 10 wins, but I'd probably get my doors beaten off by Georgia and Alabama. Georgia and Auburn and LSU would be like the games I've actually got to Google for help. But, I think Alabama beats Mississippi State no matter who's coaching. My 10-year-old could go out there and say, run the ball, and, they win. I think they're winning a lot on talent. I think they're staying games. I think they're in games based on talent. Buffalo is a mess. I still think they're very well coached. I don't feel they're doing – I feel they don't have the talent that they should. I feel they don't have the talent pool that they should. Minnesota being home, this game could get ugly. I would probably, if I was in one of these leagues where you pick like most points scored, least points scored, I would definitely put Buffalo in for least points scored. But it's going to this game could get ugly and often. Speaking of, this leads us into my NFL Roundtable question of the week. And we are going to be talking about, let me get it. Buffalo Bills season started off as bad as they got trounced by the Ravens in their opener. Then in week 2, they were trailing the Chargers 28-6 at halftime before losing the game. But the exclamation point was placed on how bad the season had started when cornerback Vonte Davis announced his retirement at halftime. Davis, who alluded to multiple surgeries and playing through injuries, said, "Today on the field, it hit me fast and hard. I shouldn't be out there anymore," etc. and so forth. Decision did not sit well with Bills coach Sean McDermott, who for the most part had no comment, at least as well as one Bills player. Quarterback Lorenzo Alexander said, "Never seen anything like that. Pop Warner, high school, college pros. Never heard of it, never seen it. It's just completely disrespectful to his teammates. What is your opinion of Davis's retirement and how he did it? And is Alexander's scathing criticism valid?" All right, here is my thought process on it. Vonte Davis has played quite a few years. He is not somebody at the end of his rookie deal. He is not somebody who is a scrub sitting at the end of the bench. He is a starting quality caliber player. I don't think he signed with Buffalo to chase a ring. I don't think he signed with Buffalo to get that one last resume pad for a Hall of Fame candidacy. Okay? He is not Chad Johnson going to the Patriots to get that last ring, or to get that ring at last, I guess I should say. He's not going to the Packers to, try to get that one last shining moment in the playoffs. He went to Buffalo to play football. He went to Buffalo because they had a contract in mind that gave him some kind of slot that he could do. And I don't think that players quit just because they're losing. I don't know, based on what he's saying, I don't know if they were 1-1 or even 2-0, or if they were only down 4 if he still quits or not. I tend to believe that he just basically looked around and said, this is not worth the pain. Football players are in pain, period. You go through, I mean, you're in pain pretty much from the time a month before season starts till 2 months after the season's over. It is a brutal physical sport, and most of these guys have been doing it since they were 13 years old. It's hard on the body, it's hard on the mind. And when somebody says that they are just busted, they feel they're getting too busted up, especially this early in the season, keep in mind, OTAs and practices, they don't beat each other up. He's only had a few weeks of actual live full contact, this 250-pound tight end running at me, somebody, a lineman coming at my legs for a draw play. He's only had that for a couple of weeks. Maybe he got hit one good time, and he's like, man, this ain't worth it. My legs is hurting, my knees is hurting. I just can't do this no more. And rather than disrespect the game, or rather than just sit on the end of the bench or fake an injury, or just sit on, or like a certain player I know, just sit on the bench with a helmet on, not ignoring everybody around him, he just was like, later, I'm done. I can't play anymore. Now, that being said, I'll defend him as long as I don't see him again. If he refuses to pay back his part of his salary, refuses to get back his signing bonus, ends up signing with the Patriots in 3 weeks, comes back next season, signs with the Rams, at which time I lose total and utter respect for him. If I never see him again, except like on the NFL Network, I don't have a problem with him leaving whatsoever. And I will fully support any NFL player, especially one that plays in a position where your knees and your legs and your hips can get torn up like that, just basically walking away and saying, I'm done. I got $17 million in the bank, and I'm 32, and I just can't get up out of bed in the morning without crying. I'm done. I don't have a problem with that. Maybe he took an ice bath at halftime. He got out and he felt his knees were still giving out from under him because, I need 2 knee replacements myself. I've been there. I completely can understand him basically quitting on it. And I really don't have a problem with it. I'm fine with it. That's just my own personal opinion, the way I look at it. But, yeah, this game's going to get ugly. It's going to get ugly quickly. And we will be stalling until we get to game 4. Okay, and next up, our next game, San Francisco 1-1 at Kansas City 2-0. Man, Patrick Mahomes looked good. I've seen part of his game. I haven't watched his entire game yet, but man, he looks good. I hate to say it for my Kansas City buddy, but man, they look good. I do kind of wonder, number one, they do have Andy Reid, so I wouldn't exactly be purchasing Super Bowl tickets yet because I've yet to see where he can do anything in the playoffs. And I also do kind of wonder about that defense. Yeah, the Steelers are the Steelers, but you got to put your foot on somebody's throat at one time. You don't have that kind of offensive output and still be worried about it in the second half. You go up 21 points on a legitimate good team, that game should be over. Yeah, the Chiefs, not like they're not playing like they've been there before. They're not playing like they can close out games. And true, you can drop 50 points on any team, you're going to be just fine. And they'll beat San Francisco, especially being at home. That crowd's going to be unreal. Kansas City's always had a monster home field advantage, even when they weren't that good. I think that they are extremely good. I would like to see how they do against certain other AFC teams before I get ready to crown them. For example, I'd love to see them play against Jacksonville. I'd love to see them play against a team with a really good home rush. I think that'll be really interesting. I'd like to see them play at Pittsburgh, at New England, at Jacksonville, and when do they play Denver? But all in all, I'm taking KC, and I think it's going to be a really interesting game. And we pause. All right. Next up, we are looking at New Orleans at Atlanta. Atlanta broke my heart because they beat my Panthers last week, and they kind of did it fairly handily, which is kind of surprising. But again, Calvin Ridley is going to be a monster player. I was not happy when he got drafted by the Falcons. I hate it when players that I've seen play 3 or 4 years in college get drafted by division rivals, such as O.J. Howard getting taken by the Bucs. I'm just not happy seeing that kind of talent getting put over. But that being said, New Orleans is always going to be good as long as Drew Brees is upright. Alvin Kamara, they're trying to get the ball in his hands more, which I'm not happy with. He is the type of player I want to see him do special things 5 times, get the ball 15 times to see if I can get that 5th or 6th special play. I don't want him touching the ball 25 times because that's going to put more dings on him than I want later on the season. My wife is a Saints fan, so I do want them to do well because, happy wife, happy life looks like. But still, I will be taking New Orleans in this game just because I think Atlanta right now is the better team, but I'm taking New Orleans because it is a climate-controlled environment. Drew Brees early in the season can take a whack at defenses, and I do feel as time goes on that defense is going to solidify. I think Atlanta is going to be more than happy to know that they beat the Panthers, and I just think the Saints, they may not be the better team, but I just don't think the Falcons can put up that kind of running game 2 weeks in a row. So I'm taking New Orleans. Shoot me. Next up, we have Green Bay at Washington. Now, Green Bay, that was a crap penalty that cost them the Vikings game. That referee doesn't throw that flag, they win that game. They are still very well talent-wise. They still have the best one-game quarterback in the league right now. Yes, I will take him over Tom Brady. Yes, I'll take him over, Cam Newton, Big Ben, Patrick Mahomes even. I'll take that all day. But in my personal opinion, if you gave me one quarterback and I know he's going to play the entire game and I have to win that game, I will take Aaron Rodgers all day long. I still don't like his coach. I still don't like his offensive scheme. Still not that big a fan of his defense. But I still think they're good enough to beat Washington. Washington seems like they're doing a lot of stuff, not necessarily with smoke and mirrors, but they are doing a great job of ball control. They are doing a great job of holding down what they're able to do. I get the feeling that Jay Gruden knows who he is. He knows how he wants to coach. He knows how he wants to win. And I think Washington's better than advertised, but I don't think they're at the Packers level. It's kind of like, how can I best say it? To go back to a college analogy, because I do tend to do that. Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Florida, they can have really good seasons. They can be very good. They are not at Alabama's level. They are not at Georgia with a good coaching staff's level. They are not at LSU's level with the quarterback. They're just not there. Every now and again they can jump up and beat them. Every now and again they can compete with them. But year in and year out, you throw a dartboard and say, in 2021, coaching staffs are the same. Do you take Alabama over Mississippi State? Absolutely. Sight unseen, 4 years from now, they still beat them. Sight unseen, Washington still cannot compete with the Packers. The way I look at it. Sorry. Shoot me if you want. Let's see. Our next game. Make sure I get my timing down. Got like 20 seconds. Okay. Wouldn't surprise me if this is a close game. I wouldn't bet on this game based on the line. It wouldn't surprise me if the Packers scored a touchdown. Just take this from 1 point game to an 8 point game. But again, I just don't think they come away even being at home. Our next game, Indianapolis at Philadelphia. Philadelphia's not really having much of a Super Bowl hangover, but let's keep in mind they did lose to the Bucks. Of course, the Bucks are 2-0, and they kind of slaughtering some teams. But that defense still kind of scares me. That offensive weaponry still kind of bothers me a little bit. So, are the Eagles still that good? Are they still having a bit of Super Bowl hangover? I think they are. Indianapolis, let's keep in mind there is still a massive talent discrepancy going on in Indianapolis. They are still Andrew Luck away from competing with the Browns for the worst team in the AFC. They are still 3 players away from being a team that, in my opinion, Alabama could beat, especially this year. So, is Indianapolis a threat? I don't think so. I think Philadelphia tries to use this as a statement game. I think they beat the doors off of the Colts. I'm sorry. I still think the Colts. I think the Colts are closer to being 0-16 than I think they are from 12-6 or 12-4. Name me outside of quarterback. Name me a position that you really get scared of when you look at the Colts. To tell you the truth, if you told me right now that quarterback aside, do I take the Browns roster or I'd take the Colts roster? I take the Browns roster all day long. The Colts are right there with the Cardinals where you take, if you had an expansion draft after you protect 5 players, is there anybody on this roster I want? I'm not sure if there's really, if I'm looking at the Colts roster going, if he's unprotected, he's mine. So, again, Colts are kind of bare. Sorry. Our next game, the 0-2 Oakland Raiders versus the Miami Dolphins. Oh, man, Tannehill is looking really, really good this year. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if last year lit a fire under him, how you continue. You got to remember, Tannehill's been around a long time. And how he looks this good right now, I just don't get it. But as of right now, he's got a hot hand. He's doing quite well. Miami's in first place of the AFC East. Got to love early on in the season. But keep in mind, Khalil Mack's coming to town. He's going to get in his face. He's going to hurt him. He's going to get Tannehill. What do you mean he's not there anymore? Oh, crap, we forgot about that. Oakland has got no pass rush. Their defense was built around Khalil Mack. He's not there anymore. There's been mountains and mountains of paperwork put on this and how it was a bad deal and how it was a dumb deal. I'm sorry, DJ. I apologize, but your Raiders are going to suck this year. The good thing is that if I've got a choice between losing my best defensive player and my best non-quarterback offensive player, sometimes you kind of look at that best defensive player and you go, well, maybe I do want to try to outscore people. Oakland's offensive looks really good. That defense, like I said, I just don't think they can stop anybody, and that's kind of the sad thing. The Raiders are looking from being a dark horse contender to already starting to look at the draft, which is really sad. I don't think they're going to be near that bad. I do think they right the pass. Let's keep in mind Derek Carr is still a very good quarterback. Problem is I don't think he's exactly somebody you put on a poster to impress anybody. But that being said, individual game, I'm going to take Miami just because Miami's at home. If they played at Oakland, I would give the edge to Oakland. But having to go cross country in this heat, in this desperation, I'm going to give it to Miami, and I'm not happy about it. I'm not thrilled about it. If I'm wrong, it wouldn't shock me at all. But I hate to say it. I think the Raiders fall to 0-3. I think Gruden's going to use it as a circle the wagons moment. I think he's going to be more than happy to have a 6-10 season just so he can change the culture. The problem is I would have changed the culture with Khalil Mack, but I'll try not to rant about him too much. But yeah, I'm taking Miami just purely because they're at home. I don't think they're that valid, but I'm still taking them. Our next game, Giants at Houston. Houston is 0-2, and Deshaun Watson is still playing. I am shocked at that. Watson has having troubles with year 2, which is understandable, which, I can see happening. I still will take him over pretty much any young quarterback in the league. I still think time's going to come where he is going to get his feet under him. Let's also keep in mind Houston's not exactly played the Raiders in Miami, just for example. I mean, they have played fairly good teams. Let's keep that in mind. I think Houston wins this game. I think they win it fairly handily. The Giants, in my opinion, they've got a dynamic running back, but a running back can only take you so far when you don't have a very good offensive line that's used to run blocking. There's a mentality for pass blocking versus run blocking. You can't exactly expect a team that's used to backing up to help Eli or to try to get swing passes or to try to get short passes to just put your head down and dive forward. That's a lot of reason why sometimes you'll take these Pro Bowl right tackles, they'll change teams, and then all of a sudden they suck. Which is why if I was ever an NFL GM, if there was a top 3 round left tackle that was picked that absolutely sucked, I would snatch him in a heartbeat just to see if there's some kind of talent there. Perfect example, Robert Gallery. Robert Gallery absolutely sucked in Oakland as the number 2 overall pick. Wasn't worth a crap. Went to the Packers and was a serviceable guard. Was he worth the number 2 overall pick? No. But I would think the Packers say they more than got their money out of him. There's still talent there, but sometimes you've got a scheme. Sometimes you've got an offensive line coach that causes issues. But yeah, Houston's going to win this game. I don't think it's pretty. I don't think it's really that close. Saquon Barkley is going to learn that there are linebackers that can run with him. If I ran the Texans defense, I would put Clowney on them all day long and basically say, we're playing 10-on-10 because you're playing 1-on-1. You have a nice game. And when the Giants run into a linebacker that can do that can run with Barkley, and that can center their scheme around him, I think he's going to start having troubles. And I'm really interested to see what the Giants' brain trust does then. Again, I understand the pick. I still think it was a mistake. But, I don't run an NFL team, obviously, because then what the heck would I do? And I'd spend way too much money on offensive linemen. But that's just me. Let's see here. And again, the pause. The deadly pause. Our next game, Tennessee at Jacksonville. Jacksonville won a game without Leonard Fournette, which has got to scare you if you're an AFC South team, because Fournette is freaking amazing. Jalen Ramsey is freaking amazing. The rest of the team are average to below average at best. But if you're winning games without Leonard Fournette, as a Jaguars fan, you've got to be ecstatic for your future. Blake Bortles is even looking good. Even outplayed Tom Brady. So, yeah, they're 1-1. I wouldn't cry. They're 2-0. I wouldn't cry. Tennessee is 1-1, and man, that is a mess of a situation. I wonder what Tennessee's going to be doing going forward. I honestly do. I kind of question their mentality. I kind of question what they're doing. I kind of question their scheme. I kind of question their process going forward. But there's still a ton of talent there, but I don't think... It's almost like I wonder if there's enough talent there that they think is there. I guess it's probably the best way I can put it. But still, I'm taking the Jaguars, which is kind of scary, because I think the Jaguars are definitely a dark horse type candidate as far as what they're going to be doing. But I'm taking the Jags, and probably will continue to take the Jags until the situation changes. I'm just not that confident in the Titans being able to beat anybody any good. And with the Jaguars being quote unquote home, I don't think the Titans are going to be able to do anything against that defense. Especially with Mariota. Man, what do you do then? All right, our next game is going to be my favorite, the 2-0 Cincinnati Bengals against the 1-1 Carolina Panthers. Cincinnati looks really good. Dalton's still Dalton, so don't get overly excited. Let's keep in mind, Carolina did a very good job for most of the game against the Falcons, and they did a pretty good job against the Cowboys. Again, the Cowboys' offense kind of sucks. Jason Garrett's still a shit coach, but they still held an NFL offense to crap. Cam Newton is playing very well right now. He's very accurate right now. Norv Turner is doing a really good job with him. Man, I hope it keeps it up because that's going to make him look really good. The Bengals are living off that offense right now. Going to be really interesting to see if they can keep that up. And I don't think they can. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Panthers are going to win this game, not only for fandom purposes, but I think they're the better team. How the Bengals are going to win whenever they get punched in the nose and they're not dropping 30 points like they have done so far this season, I don't know how they handle that. But I don't think they handle it well enough to win the game. I don't think when they look at the scoreboard and it's 14-10 going into halftime, I don't think they're going to know exactly what to do when in the third quarter they don't score at all. I think they're kind of stuck at that point in time. But I'm taking the Panthers, and if you don't like it, hey, that's my team. Deal with it. Our next game in 5, 4, 3, 2. Let's feel like an M&M or something here. It's going to be our battle for LA, the Chargers versus the Rams. Phillip Rivers looks really good so far, but he always looks really good. Phillip Rivers is an entirely underrated quarterback who just needs something to break through. Unfortunately, he's been in the league as long as Eli Manning, who's got 2 rings, plays in New York, and not close to being as good as Phillip Rivers. You got to think Phillip Rivers stays up at night just thinking, man, if it wasn't for that trade, I'd have been in New York, and I'd probably have 3 or 4 rings, and quite possibly he might. The Rams are just an unreal team. My opinion, if the playoffs started today, they would probably be my pick to go to the Super Bowl. Jared Goff looks really good. That offense looks really good. That defense looks darn scary. And just the thought of them adding Khalil Mack just for a year rental would have been unfreaking real. But I think they're for real. I don't think they are going to have much of a trouble with the Chargers. I think the game's going to get close late, but I think this is just going to be almost like a boxing match where the Rams are just going to land body blow after body blow, and eventually the Chargers are going to lose steam, and they're going to win probably by 2 touchdowns. I just think they're that good. No knock on the Chargers, but I just don't think they have the defensive horses to keep up with them. And let's see here. We got like 20 seconds left. If you don't like the pausing thing, if you'd rather me just keep going from game to game to game and not put up the little boards and everything like that, let me know. Holler and complain. I'm perfectly okay with it. Like I said, you decide you like something better, I've got no problem doing it. I'm just kind of doing this better for editing purposes so I don't have something just sitting there for 2 weeks waiting for me to edit. Our next game, Dallas at Seattle. Seattle's got a major problem, obviously, and I think it starts with the coach. He gave his players every inch of leeway that they wanted, and I think they took it and ran with it. And then, unfortunately, when you become young and talkative and trash-talking, and then you win, so you get validation, everything's wonderful when you're winning. Everything's wonderful when everything's wonderful when you're winning. You're talking trash. You're putting your foot on people's throat. You're talking, about everything. Everything's backing up for you because you're like, hey, I'm just this darn good. And here's my stats to prove it. Here's my win-loss record to prove it. Here's my Super Bowl ring to prove it. You can do that. But then it's hard to talk trash when somebody just looks at you and goes, scoreboard. It's hard to talk trash when somebody says, yeah, but we beat you last week. It's hard to talk trash when you look up at the scoreboard and you're down 14-3. Man, it's hard to do that. And unfortunately, if you have the same attitude when you're 32 as you did when you're 25, you go from being adorable and talky to old and cranky. And certain people tune you out. Certain coaches get tuned out. Certain players get tuned out. Certain leadership gets tuned out. You can't just add a player and say, here's your locker room leader. You know, there's a tone of respect that comes into it. And I just kind of wonder if Seattle has taken all their eggs and put it in the Russell Wilson basket, and that's not really going to bite them hard this year. That being said, they are playing the Cowboys. The Cowboys have their own problem. They have a badly managed salary cap. They have a badly managed offensive line, which has gone from being the dominant offensive line in the NFL to one that is average, below average, depending on how you feel about it. They have a monster running back with a quarterback that is struggling already, and wide receivers that probably would not be that threatening in the SEC. So it's going to get interesting to see what happens here. I think I'm going to take the Seahawks just for pride purposes, just for the fact they are at home, just because I think this is going to be a back against the wall game. So I'm going to take the Seahawks. I'm not happy about it. I've never really liked the Seahawks. I've never been a Pat Carroll fan. I'm kind of happy that he's losing. I'm not going to lie to you, but that's just me. But I will pick them to win this game. Sorry, Cowboys fans, you don't like it. Holler and scream at me next week. But, again, I don't take that giant win as any kind of validation. Next up, 1-1 Chicago versus 0-2 Arizona. Good luck, Arizona. I don't think you've got anybody that can stop Khalil Mack. I think Arizona probably has one of the worst rosters in football. And I'm taking Chicago. I think Trubisky has a good opportunity to show what he can do. I don't know if he's a franchise-type quarterback. I don't think he's worth the number 2 overall pick. Had they got him at number 10, though, I don't think anybody would complain as much about him as they did. Had they not made that stupid trade, I don't think they complain about as much as they do. But I am taking the Bears to win, and to win quite comfortably. Sorry, Cardinal fans, but I just don't think your team's that good. But I get the feeling I'll know that anyway, because, again, you are 0-2. Our final game on Sunday, the Patriots versus the Lions. Matt Stafford is much like Phillip Rivers, a quarterback that doesn't get all the credit he deserves, but he's not as good as Phillip Rivers. Detroit is at home, which, again, that just makes the Patriots that much better, being indoors this early in the season. Again, you've got the hoodie who gets to look at, he's got miles of tape on Stafford. I just don't think the Patriots are going to lose anytime soon. I think they're just too good. Excuse me. They're 1-1, but still, who cares? As far as Josh Gordon, I mean, it cost him a 5th-round pick. If you think he won't get cut, if he gets on anybody's nerves, that's fine. Let's also keep in mind he didn't get cut. He hasn't been gone because of his talent. He's still a world-renowned talent. He's still a world-class caliber player. His problem is between his ears. You go to the Patriots, your problem's between your ears. You get right or you get out fairly quickly. If you get right, we end up with Randy Moss. You don't get right, we could end up with a Ocho Cinco situation. You get stupid, you get like 20 other players the Patriots have cut. Again, watch Colin Cowherd's show. When the Patriots got Josh Gordon, their Super Bowl odds did not change. Their odds for winning the AFC East did not change. The game odds against the Lions didn't change. Vegas doesn't care. I don't care. I think it's much ado about nothing. I think it hurts the Browns more than it helps the Pats. Again, he could do something. He could do nothing. I don't think it matters. again, to say that he's going to be a Randy Moss situation is an insult to Randy Moss. Randy Moss, whenever he cared, was a dominant receiver. Josh Gordon, does he do anything when he cares? Is he a different player when he cares? Do we know? Will it take a change of scenery to make him any good? Do we know? Do we care? Again, I think in 3 weeks we'll know. I think it's too early. He may not even see the field this Sunday. But again, I mean, he's in a perfect situation if he wants to be worth a crap. But taking the Patriots, fairly obvious, fairly simple. Doesn't matter what the Lions want to do, what they want to add at all. But that's just period personally. All right. For our last game of the season, we got 11 seconds. Our amazing Monday night game. The Pittsburgh Steelers at 0-1-1 against Tampa Bay, who's 2-0. Man, if you just said beginning of the season one of these teams is going to be undefeated and looking freaking amazing, and the other team's going to look like they don't know what the heck they're doing. They're poorly coached, and you almost wonder if they're going to be missed the playoffs at 0-1-1. I guarantee you wouldn't be thinking the Steelers were the other team. But Fitzmagic looks freaking unreal. I watched that game with the wife against the Saints, and he was making throws. He was making plays. The defense looks good. The defense was getting a pass rush. It was just stunning watching the Bucks this year versus the Bucks last year. I mean, Jameis Winston, I hope he's renting right now because, man, if Fitzpatrick was 5 years younger, they'd probably cut him right now. It's amazing. Again, how long this is going to go, who knows? But while he's hot, it's really unreal. Pittsburgh, they did not look good against the Browns. Again, against 25 other teams, they lost that game. Against 15 teams, they lose that game by double digits. Against certain teams, man, they'd probably been blown out by 30 points. They didn't look much better last week. I've never been that much of a Mike Tomlin fan, but there's just too many distractions this early in the season. He's got to get a hold of this team. This team's got too much talent to be 0-3, 0-4, 1-5. And they're looking right at it if he doesn't pull his head out of his tuchus and grab somebody around the throat in this locker room. I personally feel that he's got to fix something. He's got to fix something quickly. And it comes down to a coach. Because you can't tell me that the Steelers don't have more talent than the two teams they played so far and the team they're playing this week. This would be one of these teams that I wish I could watch like the first quarter of this game and then bet it. Because if there was live betting here in Louisiana, I'd be down there just waiting for this game to start. Because if this game starts out 0-7 Bucks, 0-14 Bucks, man, I'd jump all over the Steelers just falling completely apart the next 2 weeks of the season. As far as my picks, man, I would take Pittsburgh all day if they were home. I really would. I hate to think about this. I really do. Just because I don't know. I honestly don't know. This is a terrible game. It really is. This is an absolutely terrible game to think about just because there's so many factors going on. This is our game of the week. Those of you that are looking at our picks on here, I'm going to try something again new this season where I'm going to have everybody that does their picks actually give me a short paragraph as far as what they feel. So if you don't want just my selections, you can get with the other team. To me, this is the most interesting game of the week just because of everything that flies around it. I think I'm going to take the Bucks, which is stunning. If you told me I was going to take the Bucks straight up against the Steelers in Week 3, pretty much any time 5 years in the past, 5 years in the future, it would be stunning. I would wonder what happened. It's amazing that with Big Ben not being hurt, I'm taking the Bucks. But I'm taking the Bucks. I think you have to ride the hot hand The Bucks are saying everything right. They love Ryan Fitzpatrick. They're playing hard for Ryan Fitzpatrick. I get the feeling that a lot of this team's thinking that if they go down and they lose at home to the Steelers 21-10, Winston's coming back. And they cannot have Winston back if they want to do anything. Do I think they're a playoff team? No. But I just think the Steelers have got too much extra crap going around. They said before week 1 they were going to circle the wagons. They were going to do this us against the wall mentality. And that was just with the running back. Now the wide receiver's doing it. The quarterback's been unhappy. Whoever, the minority owner of the Steelers now owns the Panthers. If I owned the team, I would be a very hands-off owner. But I think at this time the owner needs to kind of walk downstairs and find out what the heck's going on. I mean, not like I'd fire Mike Tomlin, but I'd basically tell him, you need to get a hold of this team. Something's not right. So there's are my picks. Please share. Please like and subscribe. I'm going to do my best to have Hellraiser out Saturday. Please make sure you hit the website, 7poundbag.com. Please enjoy, and I will see y'all next Wednesday for next week's picks, at which time I will either be eating crow or chips and salsa. But y'all have a great day. Thank you.